We are here in the mayor's office at Muscatine City Hall. We have a couple of great guests that we can't wait to share with you. Today's March 26th. I cannot even believe it's going to be April next week. April Fool's Day, actually, on Monday, I believe. Thank you, all of you, for joining us tonight. And hey, I want to give a great big shout out to Councilman Kelsey Brackett, who's also our Mayor Pro Tem. He stood in for me last week on Our City and did a wonderful job. He also did a council meeting for me last week. It was spring break. We went off with the kids and grandkids and had a really nice time and got all refreshed, and we're right back here and ready to go and kick off for spring. So our first guest tonight is Dave Popp, and he is with the city of Muscatine, and he is the solid waste manager, and he also does collection and drainage now. But he wants to talk about the real hot topic going on in Muscatine, and I can tell you that for sure because I've got a lot of calls on it. Spring Cleanup Week, just around the bend. It's going to be in April. We've got some proposed dates, and welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for coming.
No problem.
Boy, I bet you, I wonder who's had more calls about Spring Cleanup Week, me or you? Probably you.
Well, yeah, the clerks at the transfer station are really getting a lot of calls.
Oh, I bet they are. I bet they are. You know, it's such a great service that we do for the people here in Muscatine. You guys work so hard and spend an astronomical amount of money. I bet you the folks at home don't have any idea how much money it costs to do Spring Cleanup Week.
Very true, yeah. It's a huge expense that, you know, every year the council makes the decision to budget for this and provide this service.
Yeah, it's well over $100,000, isn't it?
Yeah, I think last year we were like around 115,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
But boy, keeping our community clean is something that's important to everybody.
It shows.
It does. It does.
Every part of the community is you know, pleasing to look at. So.
Yeah. Do you keep? I know you do. You keep track of how much you pick up, right?
Yes.
Do you keep track of how many dump trucks full of stuff?
How many dump trucks? How many garbage trucks? Yeah,
lots.
That's all tracked. Yes.
Wow. Just think of all that junk just laying around.
Yes.
Crazy. So I was looking through. Now the council hasn't approved yet when Spring Cleanup Week's going to be, but you're going to ask for April 22nd.
Yes,
okay.
To start that Monday.
So last week, I remember it actually took, what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah. Last year it took a full 2 weeks to get through it.
Because they had so much extra stuff.
The large quantities, yes.
Well, and I think it's also good to know that we have to squeeze the man hours into this because they all have other jobs too,
correct.
Right?
Not
street
only
crew?
all of solid waste, but street department basically uses everybody that they can to not only, you know, collect the trash, but drive the trucks and haul it down. So.
Wow. Well, I know I, for one, really appreciate it. I can't get my husband down cleaning in the garage fast enough. Spring Cleanup Week's coming. So before we start really talking about Spring Cleanup Week, we don't really even have to wait till Spring Cleanup Week, right? True.
Every resident, not only within the city of Muscatine, but Fruitland also can utilize 3 times a year of what I would call a bulky waste pickup, to where if you have, you know, say you've got an extra trash one week that you can't fit all in your container, you can call for a special pickup.
Even if it's just a bunch of extra
bags, correct.
Okay,
yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like cleaning out the garage stuff.
Correct.
It could be you had family in from California and ended up with tons more garbage.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
That's good to know. So you'd call
down to the transfer station.
Call transfer station.
And they'll set you up an appointment. It'll be on your regular trash collection day.
Just sit it out next to your green and blue cans.
Yep, out by the curb.
Okay.
You know, that can be.
And that's free.
Say, free 3 times a year.
Wow. And what happens if you used all your 3?
You can still call for a bulky waste pickup if you don't have the ability to haul it to the transfer station, but you would be charged according for that.
Okay, there'd be a small fee attached.
Yeah, correct.
So don't not do it, just make sure that you realize.
And I think, you know, between Spring Cleanup and the 3 free.
Yeah, that's 4, really. Technically, that's 4. That should cover it.
Very rarely do we have to charge somebody for that.
Sure. Now, I did have a couple questions at Christmas time. So, at Christmas time, you know, we all have 5 million tons of wrapping paper to throw away, and all the boxes that all the toys and everything comes in. So can we put out extra trash at Christmas, or does it still all have to fit in our cans?
It still has to fit in your can, but there again, you could use one of your free.
So you could just
curbside.
call and have that be one of,
Right.
oh, that's good.
You know,
to-
just call and say, hey, I've got 5 extra bags I need to set out. You know, it'll get put on the schedule, and a truck will come by and pick that up.
So it
for
can
you.
be winter or spring or
Correct,
anytime? Okay, good, good. So, spring cleanup week, you're proposing that it's be April 22nd through April 26th,
Correct.
Monday through Friday. And everybody would put out their trash the night before, not any earlier than 4, right? You don't want it out there all day.
Yeah, we request, you know, that it sit out there, you know, as short a time as possible.
Sure, we don't want it looking terrible.
Blowing
and-
around and, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Blowing around into the neighbors' yards.
Correct.
And we do know that we always have people driving around searching through other people's trash. And that's a good thing, because anytime that things can get recycled, that's a good thing. We want to make sure it gets recycled instead of going to the dump. We're happy with that. However, I know we're always asking everybody to be courteous when they do
Right.
that.
Don't create a mess and,
Don't create a mess, don't break things. I know one time we had somebody come and they wanted the metal all around our storm windows we were putting out. So they took out the glass and just put it there, which all broke because it didn't have that frame anymore. So stuff like that, let's be respectful
right,
and not leave a mess like that.
right.
So make sure also, another comment that came up to me a couple times last year was people coming up into people's yards and taking stuff as they're driving around. So let's limit to what is clearly curbside stuff. Okay. So,
And I would also suggest, if something is curbside that you don't want collected, remove it.
remove it.
Put it up in your yard.
Exactly.
You know, we've had a
Exactly.
couple cases where, you know, families may have a basketball hoop
Uh-huh.
out by the street, and, you know, the crews, you know, assume that is out there to be collected.
And so they picked it up.
Right,
Oh, that's true.
right,
Make sure you don't leave any gray areas.
right,
Yep. Only put out what you want to have gone.
correct.
That's right. So April 22nd through April 26th, we're hoping council will approve. And the list of things that you will pick up are furniture, dismantled swing sets, so don't set out the whole swing set, take it apart. Building materials not to exceed a pickup load.
Correct.
So if you can eyeball what a pickup load would look like, and we're not talking a great big pickup, just a normal size pickup, 8x4x2, you can put out that amount.
Correct.
We don't want entire roofs being
Yeah.
replaced and everything put out there for
Yeah,
you to
don't
pick
tear
up.
down your shed and set
Exactly.
it out there.
And then up to 4 appliances, but not camper refrigerators and camper units.
Yeah, correct.
So those are considered electronic?
Those have a different type of refrigerant in them,
Oh,
which costs a lot of money to dispose of, so we have a different,
a different setup
price
for that.
for those, yes.
Okay. Standard refrigerators and freezers, take the doors off for
Correct.
safety. I remember that from when I was a kid, making sure it was always a big rule not to leave them like that because kids might get in there to play and not be able to get out.
and please make sure they're emptied out.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
No, it happens.
I bet. Ugh. Yeah, clean them out. You
Yeah.
don't have to wash them, but
Right.
don't have any things in them.
Right.
All right. Yard waste will be picked up in the city of Muscatine in yard waste bags only.
Correct.
So even though it's spring cleanup week, you can't just throw out all kinds of yard waste.
Right,
Those
yard
kind-
waste in bags or brush bundled will
Okay.
be picked up. And there again, that's a service that we offer year round, you know,
You buy the
That-
bag at
that's
the
a
at the store. Or there's a
Sure.
couple stores, right?
right.
Okay.
So every week you can, on your trash day, set out either leaves or grass clippings in the yard waste bags. They need to be City of Muscatine yard waste bags.
Right.
Brush can be bundled,
Mm-hmm.
but you can also utilize it's a Friday pickup if you have a large amount of brush that isn't bundled and they need the machine to pick it up. You can call Public Works and they'll actually come out and aid you with that type of pickup.
Oh, that's nice. I did realize that, and I thought that was a wonderful service that I don't think people realized. as much as they should have. There were a lot of people concerned about the leaf pickups this year, that they didn't get there in time, or they didn't pick up my leaves before it started snowing. And I just, whenever I would get calls about it, I would just remind them, you can call anytime and tell them
Right.
they didn't pick up my leaves, or I still have leaves, or my tree didn't fall till they were done, and now here's all my leaves, and they'll come by and pick them up. It's just a matter of making that phone call and communicating.
Correct.
Right. So refuse and bulky items placed by the curb by 5 a.m. the day of the pickup and no earlier than 4 the day before. So
Correct.
that's where we don't want it sitting out there for days.
Correct.
Looking junky and being in the way, or, you know, in vehicles' ways too. Making sure
Correct.
you keep it back from the street, because it can get pretty crazy.
Correct. And another thing to keep in mind, you know, this will be my second spring cleanup, but last year, you know, it did carry over. Say your collection was Monday. The crews, because there was such a big volume of items placed curbside, did not make it through Monday's route on Monday.
Right.
It ultimately took 2 days
To get
for each
one.
collection day to get
Yeah.
picked up.
So if you put it out a day before, and it took them 2 days to get to it, that means now it's been sitting out there for 3 days. So you
Correct.
don't want to put it out any earlier than you have
right,
to.
Right.
They're not going to get there early.
Right.
Right? Not going to
Correct.
come early to pick it
No,
up.
no.
Nope. Oh my goodness, that's a lot of trash. Sure is. So during spring cleanup week, Public Works does not pick up tires, electronic waste, building materials larger than a pickup load, or car bodies, or concrete. Concrete can be taken at no charge year-round to Public Works. And this year, you're asking that it not be picked up at all.
Correct.
It used to be a small amount. This
Correct.
year, you're asking that everybody take their concrete down to Public Works whenever you want.
Right. You don't have to wait.
Don't have to wait. Hazardous chemicals, large trees, motor oil, paint, and torn down buildings, garages, sheds, those kinds of things. No, no, no. We got to put some limits. No dead bodies, anything like that
Right,
either,
right,
right? Yeah.
right.
You didn't list that, Dave. All right. So the things that you're asking City Council to change this year are, you know, we did limit how many tires could be put out. We wanted to make sure that people weren't coming from other communities and bringing them to the city of Muscatine to be disposed of, because ultimately this service, which costs well over $100,000, gets paid for by the taxpayers of Muscatine.
Correct.
And so we want to make sure that it's only being used by the taxpayers of
Correct.
Muscatine. So we don't want to pay for all of the other communities. So we limited it to 8 car or light truck tires. But you're asking that the date of that change to May this year.
Correct. So, in conjunction with spring cleanup, in the past, they've also, down at the transfer station, let citizens bring tires and electronics
Sure.
for no charge to drop them off
During that week.
during that week. What I'm proposing is that we get through spring cleanup, the curbside collection portion of it, and then following that, do 1 week for tires and 1 week for electronic.
Just kind of
Free
spread out the
drop-off.
craziness a
Right.
little bit.
Couple of reasons. One thing I noticed last year, you know, people would put out a tire curbside for the collection. It would get tagged and left there, but then they would call the next week and say, "I just noticed this," so they missed out on the free drop-off.
Oh, sure.
So
sure.
that, in conjunction with just staffing, you know, we basically throw everybody we can at this,
Yeah.
which leaves no room for, you know, we still have to go through our normal operations.
Yeah.
So say we have a truck breakdown, you know, the person that would normally work on that truck is busy manning
Sure.
the electronic drop-off area. So it's just, everybody's spread a little bit too thin.
Right.
There's no room for error.
And even though you can take these down there, the tires and the electronic waste, there still needs to be somebody there
Right,
to tell you where to go, because I did it last year.
right,
And I know you had to, you know, you came in and they had the cones and told you where to go, but there still were people there working.
correct,
So those people could be out helping with spring cleanup week.
correct,
Okay.
We-
So
we-
they still would get the week, it would be just a different week.
correct.
Gotcha.
We, you know, in addition, we call on such a large amount of temporary help, you know, from from like temp services.
Sure.
And sometimes it's hard to get as many people as we need.
Yep.
So if we're not staffing the drop-off area,
Sure.
you know, it might be a little bit easier to get
Yeah.
the collection staffed.
Sure, makes sense. Paint, hazardous chemicals, motor oil, medical sharps in a container, those things you will accept for free as long as you prove that you're residents.
Right,
And
that's,
take those down.
that's year-round.
Yep.
We offer a household hazardous waste drop-off year-round, so.
I know the medical sharps, our granddaughter's diabetic, and they have, our daughter just uses like an old Tide.
Right,
So
yep, there are
they can
regulations.
just put them in there.
Either a regular Sharps red container,
Uh-huh.
or like you said, one of the hard plastic
Yep.
liquid detergent, tape shut,
Yeah.
address, phone number, and name on it.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for that is if somebody did unfortunately get poked with a needle, it's a lot easier to call the person and
That's
see,
true.
rather than have an employee go through.
I'll have to mention that, because I don't know, of course, I don't ever look at it, but make sure that everybody realizes that they're supposed to put their name and address on there. I hadn't realized that.
Yeah.
I just knew they used the Tide, because it's really hard plastic and
Right,
the needles are pretty
yeah,
thin.
not that we wanna know anybody's business, but
No,
if somebody.
if there was something, they'd need to track it back.
Yep.
Sure. Good thing. Motor oil, you don't take motor oil at all.
Not on the curbside collection.
Okay.
It's a free drop-off, though.
So they can bring it over and drop
Yeah,
it off
yeah.
at a special spot that goes?
Yes.
Okay.
With the other hazardous waste, we have a spot inside the
Okay.
building where you pull up to and drop that off. And that's year-round also, so
And no charge.
no charge.
So I think one thing that I was sharing a lot with people last year, especially with the tires and the electronic waste, it's not that we're making money off of that all the rest of the year, the other 51 weeks of the year. What we charge is what we have to pay when we take it somewhere to dispose of it.
Correct.
So that's the fee that we have to pay. So during spring cleanup week, when we're giving it all for free, we still have to pay that
Correct.
when we go and
Correct.
take it
Yeah.
to the bigger places for
Yes.
disposal.
Yes. There again, the council does a wonderful job of funding this.
Yes.
But keep in mind, what we do charge does not cover our costs.
Oh, never.
Throughout the years. So.
Right.
And last year, I think it was 3 semi-trailers that we filled up with tires.
With tires?
With tires,
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of tires.
yes.
I hope they're recycling them somewhere. And I know it's not us. I know we ship them off somewhere and we have to pay the other place. So, oh wow. Yep, that's a lot, 3 semis. So this is a big job. We know it's a big job. We want to make sure certainly that the folks at home know to keep children back with all the extra, there's a lot of extra traffic
Correct.
going on.
Correct.
So you've got the trucks going around picking up, you've got the pickers, for want of a better word, I don't know what else you would call them, that go around and look through people's
Right.
stuff to try to use it, recycle it, good thing. But that's a lot more traffic.
Correct,
So we need
yeah.
to make sure we keep the children back and out of the way, because we
Yes.
don't want any accidents.
It gets hectic.
Mhm.
Keep in mind too, when you set items out,
Uh-huh.
small items, if it'll fit into a garbage bag with other items, that really helps things speed up the
Oh,
process.
If you have to bend over and pick up little
Yeah, yeah.
items, oh, that's a good idea.
Yep.
The more of them that you can put in one thing that they can just pick up and toss, the better.
Mattresses, something
Mhm.
kind of new on the horizon. We're
Yes.
requesting that mattresses be wrapped in plastic.
You don't want any bed bugs,
Well,
or what?
no, we don't. And it also,
It is a problem,
If-
and we know that.
if you set a
Yes.
mattress out and it rains, the
that'd be
guy's
ne-
picking it up
yes.
or picking up a saturated
Yeah.
mattress now.
So how can they do that, though? I mean, I'm thinking if
Usually-
I had a mattress to throw away, I don't know how I would wrap it in plastic.
Usually when you buy a mattress, it comes
Uh-huh.
in a plastic container, so
So
if
you're
you
thinking if you bought a new one,
just reuse that. and-
reuse that
yeah,
on the old one.
yeah.
Otherwise, I think you'd be hard to figure out how to
Sure.
wrap that in plastic.
Or call the local mattress
And
retailers.
ask them
Right,
for
right.
an old, that's a great idea.
yep.
That's great. So that's a new thing?
Yeah, we're, kind of been concentrating on that
Uh-huh.
here for the last year. unfortunately, there are rising health concerns
Yeah.
with, you know, the staff that have to, you know, they basically have to bear hug that to pick it up and throw it in the
yeah.
truck, so.
Yeah, it's not anything
we
that
don't-
any of us
we
would
don't
want
want
to do,
them-
and we
yeah.
need to be considerate and not expect other people to do stuff
But,
that we don't wanna do.
You know, another huge reason is, like I say, to keep it dry.
Oh, sure.
If you set items out and it rains overnight, you know,
Mhm.
those items are waterlogged and
Yeah.
twice as heavy as what they would normally would be, so.
Yeah, other things do too, like, there was a stack of those white ceiling tiles.
Right.
Oh my goodness, you get those babies wet and you're in trouble.
Right,
That's a mess.
Yep.
So the more things you can put in plastic, the better.
correct,
Shove it in a hefty garbage bag or whatever you can.
correct,
But still, even though it's spring cleanup week, we need to limit what goes in our garbage cans. The blue is still only recycle,
correct,
and the green has to be in garbage bags.
correct.
And then put inside the green
With the lid shut, yeah.
with the lid shut.
Mhm.
Does the lid have to shut all the way?
Well, we prefer it to.
We prefer it to,
Yep.
okay. So the other thing that people have asked me, I should write a book about some of the questions I've had, but one of them is, which way is the garbage can supposed to be facing when you put it out on the curb? So I say the wheels are supposed to be towards the house,
Correct,
so that way you can pick it up and sit it back down.
right.
Is that right?
That way, when it's up over the truck, the lid opens properly and,
Okay. Otherwise, I think it'd be really hard to have that lid fling down.
well, the other way, then the trash comes out on top of the lid. And sometimes when they go to set the can down, it'll bring trash back with it
That's true.
and fling it
Yeah.
out in the streets.
So wheels to the house.
Wheels to the house.
Wheels to the house, okay. Dave, you have got tons of information on trash.
So, and yeah, you know, we're always open to phone calls down at the transfer station,
Okay,
or, you know, email us on the city website, and
okay.
you know, we'll try and help you solve whatever questions you have.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this wonderful service for the community. I mean, it really is something that I know folks appreciate. And I think if anybody had any opinion on the proposed changes, you know, keep an eye out. Hoping to get this on the council meeting agenda next week to be
Correct.
approved.
Correct.
If anybody has any questions or comments, they can certainly call their councilman.
And just one last reminder, utilize those 3
Oh,
free,
yes.
you
Don't forget
know,
about
bulky
those.
waste pickups. You know, it makes spring cleanup, if it could be less of a burden,
That's true.
really appreciated.
That's true. Any thinning down that you can do.
Yep.
Certainly with the tires and the electronic waste, hopefully that really puts a relief
Yeah,
in
well,
place for you. And if people could plan it out, you know, 4 times a year, you know, every quarter, do
right,
one.
right,
I like the idea of saving one for Christmas.
yep.
Because that one's always, oh my goodness, takes weeks to catch up. Thank you so much, Dave.
You're welcome.
We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And people can call down at the transfer station
Yes.
whenever they have a question.
Yes,
Talk to you, talk to whoever answers the phone.
correct.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, while we get ready to transition into our next guest, I just wanted to share a couple of things that are coming up with you. The first one is on April 5th, which is a week from Friday, and it is going to be Blue Out Day. So April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and something that that the local area child abuse prevention councils work on is making sure that we create awareness during Child Abuse Prevention Month with some suggestions and ideas that come out from Prevent Child Abuse Iowa. Now, our local Child Abuse Council is called Muscatine County CARES. CARES is an acronym that stands for Child Abuse and Education System. It's been, our local Child Abuse Council has been here for, I believe, since 1984. And we team up with other child abuse councils through Prevent Child Abuse Iowa every year and hold a Blue Out Day. And what that means is blue is the color for child abuse prevention. We want everybody to wear blue on Blue Out Day, which is April 5th. Take a picture of your group. So like my staff at the Y, I'm having them all wear blue that day. We'll take a picture. Restaurants, banks, wherever you're working at your office, schools, school teachers, groups are taking pictures of them in their blue, whatever they wear, whatever shade of blue, and then we are uploading it to Facebook with the hashtag Great Childhoods Muscatine, and then they're going to draw for some awards for, like, it's broken down by schools and business and individuals, and it's just another way to raise awareness for child abuse prevention, because one thing that we all know is that protecting children is everyone's business. We all have to look out for every single child that we come into contact with in our lives, not just our own children, but our neighbors' children, the children of people that we go to church with or that we work with or that we see at Walmart or wherever we are. We all have to be keeping our eyes peeled to protect children and doing everything that we can. And this is just another way of getting that awareness out there. So wear blue on Blue Out Day, April 5th, a week from Friday. And don't forget, and then make sure you snap that picture. Next, I wanted to ask you to save the date. This is the second annual. So I teamed up with Iowa Workforce Development last year, and we put together Muscatine Mayor's Youth Job Fair. So this is about the time that parents and teenagers are out scouting out for a summer job. They want to save up money, they want to buy a car, they want to get some more college money, whatever it is. So the Mayor's Youth Job Fair, we hold this at the Muscatine High School in the Big Commons area. There'll be a ton of employers there. Parents can bring the teenagers, or the teenagers can come by themselves. Sometimes parents come by themselves and just gather information. But the youth can go around, apply for jobs, learn what it's like to be in the job market. This is many of them's first foray out into the working world. And they will learn skills, not just making money over the summer, but they learn very important skills that they're going to use their entire lives on what's appropriate in the workforce and what is needed to be a good employee. So if you are looking for a job for your youth, if you're a youth looking for a job, if you're an employer looking to hire youth for the summer, this is the place for you. So Monday, April 15th, at the high school from 3 to 6, and we'd love to have you come to that. It was really well attended last year, and we were able to team up several youth with several employers, and it was a win-win for all of them, and they all had a great summer. So very much appreciate Iowa Workforce Development and all the work they've done on this, as well as the high school for providing that venue. That's a really good area for everybody to get together and meet. So I would like to take the time now to welcome Trish Burnett. She is with the American Red Cross, and she's here to talk to us not only about fire safety, but about an event called Sound the Alarm. Welcome, Trish.
Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Thank you for coming.
Lots of good things going on in the community. It's great to hear about all those.
Oh, I'm so glad that you were able to come down, and thank you. So Sound the Alarm, is this is the second or third year?
This is our second year for the event.
That we've done Sound the Alarm. And
right.
it is actually a day, even though we do this all the time, but it's one day set aside to make sure that fire alarms, smoke alarms are installed properly, as many as are needed. So if you have the great big house, one smoke alarm isn't going to do it.
Right.
You need a certain amount for square footage.
And they have to be in the right locations in the home, because if they're not in the correct locations, then they may not wake you up, or you may not hear them if you're in another part of the house. So it's really heightening the awareness of that with families. You know, we talk about checking our smoke alarms, but they also wear out.
I know, so they have an expiration date. I didn't realize
they're
that
an appliance, so to speak, too, and they wear out. And sometimes we just don't think about that. You know, you just always know they're there, and you check them as you're supposed to. But they do become less sensitive, and they don't work as well. And that is one thing in your home you want working absolutely to the best.
And I suppose it makes sense over the years. You know, dust can get in there.
Yes.
They couldn't smell the smoke as much, you know, just like anything else. So the May 4th?
May 4th is our
4th.
big event, and
Okay.
that day is filling up fast for appointments, but we're going to continue to take appointments for other days too. We don't want people to not call
No,
because
no,
of
no,
that.
no, no.
We also partner with the Muscatine Fire Department right here,
Yes.
and they do a lot of the appointments for us year round.
Yes.
We just kind of take this event to really put a focus on it.
Right.
Because as I said, it's so easy to
It's not
just
the only
not
day.
think
Yes.
about that. Right. It's just, we kind of all have that one day when we focus on an event, and this is
Right.
ours, but it is a year-round thing. We
Yes,
want
it
people
is.
thinking about and making sure they're working. And the other part of that, the smoke alarm is half of it. The other is the home fire escape plan.
Yes, the way I understand it, 2 people go into the home.
Three,
3.
actually. Yes.
One
Yes.
installs, one scopes out the areas to install,
Right.
and one talks to the family about their safety plan.
Right.
Is that right?
It is.
Okay.
We actually sit down with the family and do a little map. And even if you don't need us to come to your house, if your smoke alarms are new or working, do this. Don't wait. Do it tonight. Do it tomorrow. Get out, draw a little floor plan. Sit down with everybody in your home and work together on the floor plan and figure out, okay, where would we get out? How would we get out? And then practice it. 30 years ago, you had about 15 minutes to get out of your home. Now you have, they say, on average, under 2 minutes.
I was talking to our fire chief, Jerry Evers, about that, and he was telling me that, and I hadn't realized
Right.
that the time had lessened.
Yes.
Because of all the plastics and the synthetics that we have now,
Right.
the man-made products, they burn faster.
A lot of different, I think the floor plans, the open floor plans
Sure.
have changed some
and
things.
2 minutes is
Yeah.
not very long.
It's not. And if you think about it, if you wake up in the middle of the night and there's smoke and you're scared and everything else, you're probably going to waste 15 to 30 seconds just getting your
getting your
bearings.
bearings.
Yeah.
Sure,
Which
sure.
would be human nature.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
so really when you think about it, your time is probably even less.
Yes.
So unless everybody in the family knows exactly what to do, it's not going to work. And we've found that young children especially, if they have not practiced that often enough, or if they've never practiced it and they hear that smoke alarm, they might hide. They might be afraid, run to a
Yes.
closet, get under their
Yes.
bed. Imagine the time you're going to lose in trying to find the
my
child.
goodness. Yes. Yes.
Don't do that.
No.
I mean,
no.
you want this to be
Right.
just so ingrained in them that when they hear it, they
They
automatically
know how to
do.
respond. That's right.
And another thing, I was talking to a fire chief recently, and he mentioned, you said your grandmother,
Uh-huh.
that, you have children's friends over on a regular basis, or your grandchildren.
Uh-huh.
They probably always use the same door coming in and out of your house when
Sure.
they get there. Well, what if that door's blocked? Do they understand the other doors in your house?
That's true.
So you even need to practice with those, or at least make them aware that are in your house.
Yes, that's
and
true.
so they know to get out and what other doors possibly there
That's
are
right.
to use. So, and I suggest to people, make a game out of it with your kids. You can still have fun even though it's serious,
Oh, sure.
and time it. Have somebody videotape it and time it for you.
Yep.
And just practice. We did that with my grandchildren, and we practiced and had fun, and they really enjoyed teaching their
Sure,
friends about
sure.
it. So, make it just a good family
Sure.
event.
Well, and I remember back when we were kids and they were doing the stop, drop, and roll.
Right.
That has stuck with us.
Yes.
All of these years.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
So our kids need to have that same type of things really
Yes.
ingrained in them. I know I called my brother the other night, and they have 2 small children, well, not too small, like 11 and 13, and I'm like, what are you doing? He said, I'm going to have to call you back. We're practicing our fire drill. And
I
I'm
love
like,
him.
I know. I was like, really? And he said, yeah. I was like,
That's
okay.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing, we have a lot of homes now that have different generations in them. So you may have
Yeah.
some older people in your home that are going to need a little extra care. You may have some young children that are going to
That's
need.
right.
So you have to have a plan of who's going to do what. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
everybody kind of has that assigned role and knows. And then where do we meet outside so we all know we're out here and we're
Right.
together.
Right.
And we were talking earlier, we plan vacations or we plan holidays, but we don't take time to plan this. And
Right.
it's so important.
It is. It is.
And, how would you
Yeah.
feel if you knew that if you had just planned,
I
maybe
know. One little
tragedy
bit.
wouldn't
right.
have happened?
Right. I was telling a coworker just this morning, we were on a cruise last week for spring break. And the first thing you do after you get in your room and get your shoes off, everybody goes and practices the drills. Everybody. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're in the presidential suite, you get on down to the muster station and you practice the safety drills for fire, for whatever
Yeah.
emergency there is. It's just got to be a thing that we all just do as part of our daily
Right.
lives.
And it's just something so many people don't do, and it's
Sure.
so easy
Sure.
and important.
Oh, yes.
and-
And you know, right now is a time in our community. Our community is still grieving
Right.
over the loss of a family
Right.
just last month. And so, even though we want to think that it's never going to happen to us, it does happen.
Yeah, it does.
It happens to us. It happens to our neighbors. It happens to our community, and it impacts us all.
It does.
And it's just like you say, a small piece. I mean, you go to the doctor once a year and do what you need to do
Yeah.
there. You got to do this and
Yeah.
make sure that you do your due diligence to keep your family safe.
Exactly.
I mean, you buy insurance to keep your family safe. It's
Exactly.
another thing. So I love it that so it's Saturday, May 4th,
Right.
from 9 to 2, and that's when folks will be coming and in groups of 3, and you
Right.
sign up ahead. And the way that you sign up is by
The easiest
going
way,
online,
yeah,
right?
the easiest way is to go to getasmokealarm.org.
Okay.
And then you'll just put in your name and address, phone number, and someone will contact you. And it'll either be a team from that day or the local fire department. As I said,
Yes.
we're booking up fast, but we'll make sure and get people in and get it taken care of. 'cause
our
it's
fire
so
department.
important.
It is, and
They're
our fire
amazing.
department's wonderful.
They are.
In between, they of course they have their regular calls that they go on, but in between,
Yes.
all of their calls, they're always out doing fire safety education
It
in the
is.
community. They're wonderful at it.
And you know, another benefit from that is how cool is it for your kids if some firemen come to
Yes.
their house to install the
Yes.
smoke alarm? I mean, that's
Yes.
just pretty exciting if
And
you're a kid.
It
so-
is, and I
it's
think
great
their
to
smoke
have-
alarms are better. They're the 10-year.
That's
with the 10-year
same
battery.
that we use. I mean, we partner. We
that's what I
provide
mean.
this. Yes.
I mean, you
yes.
guys are, I
Yes.
think, better than the ones you go
Yeah.
buy at the store.
Exactly. It's a sealed battery. It's 10-year life. We still want you to test it and everything. But yeah, so you save the cost of the battery.
Yeah.
You save the headache of trying to figure out how to do that.
Or where?
Yes. And you know, especially for older people and those that maybe it's difficult, that's
Sure.
really nice too.
Yes,
Because then they don't have to
yes.
find somebody to help them when
Yep.
they have to do that.
And then you know your family's safe. from-
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So I just love it that we have this event. So getanalarm.org,
Get a smoke alarm.
getasmokealarm.org, and then you just go on and sign up and somebody will call you. I love it that we're having the Sound the Alarm event, but I also love that it's being used as a spin-off to promote fire safety year-round.
Right.
Because it can't be just this one day.
Right. Exactly.
And I know October is Fire Safety Prevention Month, and we always do a variety of things at our local Y about that, and that's in the schools in different areas. But really, it can't even be just those 2 times.
Right.
It has to be all the time.
It
I mean,
does.
how many fires do we have in the Quad Cities every year?
You know, in our chapter, we respond to about 300 a year.
It's
And
terrible.
So, yeah, and you know, I can't tell you exactly how many of those maybe could be prevented with some
Sure.
preparedness of home fire safety, but we do know that your chance of getting out alive increases dramatically, like 50%, if you have working smoke alarms in the right location and you have that home fire escape plan.
So it doesn't mean that we may not have less fires.
Right.
But we will have less deaths and injuries.
Right.
And even, you know, one thing that we lost a firefighter here years ago, and my family knew him, and so he was fighting a fire and fell through the roof and died. And we know that Clinton lost a firefighter.
Right.
So it's not even just the lives of your family and your loved ones, but it's also protecting our firefighters
Right.
and putting them in harm's way when we don't do what we need to do to protect ourselves and
And
our
as you
families.
said, the whole community grieves when
They
something does
do.
happen. So
They
it really
do.
affects everyone.
It affects our entire community, and even
And-
Clinton, it
yeah.
affected us.
It did.
Because our
Yeah,
firefighters
very
went there to help.
widespread.
Yes.
And, you know, I would suggest too that you can go to redcross.org for information on how to prevent fires, because that's critical too.
Sure.
This campaign is really designed to save lives and reduce injuries, but learn about, you know, go over the tips with your kiddos about, you know, how far away for space heaters, how's the best way to use those, kitchen cooking.
No drop cords.
Right, kitchen
Yes.
cooking is one of the, cooking
Yeah.
is one of the highest causes of fires. So while you're there, just go through some of
Sure.
those tips. It's always good to remind yourself and your others in the household.
Sure.
And make sure everybody knows what they can be doing to do the best to not have a fire, because that's the best way.
Yes, it is. So there's things we can do right now in between, right?
Right.
And those are the ways. Go online, look through
Right,
there.
and go through the tips. I recommend just eating out a lot, but
Oh, there you go.
that's
That
not
works
always
too,
feasible,
doesn't it?
But just run through the
And not walking
cooking
away.
tips and those kinds of things.
Yes.
You'd be amazed at how many people we hear about that put something on the stove and then sit down and fall asleep.
Oh my
You know,
goodness, yes.
if you're
Yes.
going to make a snack, make sure you're awake. Simple
Yes.
things like that
Yes.
to really think
Yes.
about.
And children
And if you're
cooking.
too tired, make a sandwich.
Yes, yes,
know?
there you go.
So-
Well, I had an incident years ago, probably 30 years ago, and I had put a French fry in oil to see if it was hot enough, and it wasn't, so I stood there to wait, and the phone rang.
Yeah.
And I ran to get the phone, and I knew I had that French fry in there, and I'm trying to get back, but it was on fire when I
Yeah.
got back.
It's easy to get distracted.
Yes.
Your
Very.
child's yelling for something or running through the room and you
Yes.
turn and
Yeah.
walk away and
Yeah.
it's gone in an instant. You just don't think about it.
And also those cords. I like the newer appliances that have like on the fryers the pull away cord.
Yeah.
So like if a child grabs that, because if you spilled a whole thing of oil, you've got a fire.
You do.
And you can't hardly control that.
Yeah.
And what about fire extinguishers? Do you recommend kitchen fire
We
extinguishers?
do. I do. I think, by your fireplaces, in your kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
anywhere in your home where you feel there's a potential fire risk, I recommend.
Sure.
I mean, anything you can do to save somebody's life in your family, aren't you going to be willing
Exactly.
to do it? So,
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
everything you can.
Sure.
And just have that peace of mind that you're doing what you can to
Yep.
keep your family safe.
Every little
Because a
bit.
lot of emergencies affect other people, but this is something that's going to affect people you know and most likely love dearly because they're
Exactly.
in your home.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
And I just can't hardly get over the 2 minutes.
yeah.
In 2 minutes, your house
It's
can be
nothing.
engulfed.
Yeah.
That is nothing.
No, and again, if you think about just the time it'll take you to react and get your
Sure.
thought processing
Yes.
working, I mean, that right there is going to take a few seconds at least.
And they
So,
seem to be mostly in the night, don't
yeah,
they?
yes.
Not during the day when we're awake and we
Yeah,
can
and
react better.
I don't know that there's any more that happen at night, but I think those are the ones we do hear about
Sure.
because you are so
People are asleep.
yeah, you're so caught off guard by
Sure.
it. And lots of times during the day, people aren't home if they do have a fire
True.
too, which
True.
makes a difference. But
True.
yeah, at night especially, it's really
Mhm.
dangerous, and especially with young children that are sleeping, and that's why you want to have the alarms in the right place so they hear them,
Yes.
and with the right floor plan and practice so they know what to do. Has to be habit or they won't do it.
Oh, yes. And this is no cost.
No cost.
No cost to
cost.
anyone. So
Nope, and we don't put you on a mailing list, we do nothing.
Nothing. You
There's
don't try to sell 'em
requirements.
anything.
No, we're not
No.
gonna ask your income, we're not gonna ask anything like that. We wanna just save lives. We
Yes.
love all lives.
That's right.
And we just want, people that if you need them, get online. If you're fine, still do the practice, do the floor plan, look up the tips.
Yep. GetaSmokealarm.org.
Correct.
5 or 6 questions.
Yeah, not even
And
that.
No,
So,
no, just name, address, phone number,
Right.
and they'll call you and they'll get
Right.
it set up. And typically, it's going to end up being somebody locally,
Right.
one of your
Yes,
neighbors
absolutely.
coming to help, set up.
And maybe it'll be somebody new in town you
That's
can meet
right.
that you haven't met before.
How long does it take for them?
It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for the
Oh,
entire
wow.
thing, so
So they're not going to
Yeah.
take much of your
they're
time.
not. And they'll work around your schedule.
Uh-huh.
So, that's not
Whatever
gonna
works
be,
for you.
You have to be here at this time. They'll help with, figure out what works
Sure.
best for you. So
Sure.
it's easy, it's free. There's no reason not to do
No
it.
reason not to.
Exactly.
And the rest of the time, they can still do that, and our
Right.
local fire department will come and
Right.
help you.
Exactly.
No cost.
No cost.
Cost
And-
does not need to be a barrier
No,
to
it does
keeping you
not.
safe.
It does not. And especially if you're not able to get up and check yours
Oh, I
and do
know.
that,
Sure.
please call. I've had people say, well, I feel bad, asking. Don't feel bad. That's why we're here.
That's right.
So
That's
please
right.
call
Well,
us. Or get
Awesome
online.
event. Great event.
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad you guys started it last year. I know last year we had it all set. We went through all of these promotions. All the local mayors got together and we did a press conference and did a big kickoff. And then the hurricane hit down south.
3 of them.
Uh-huh. And so everybody went to the hurricanes and we had to postpone it.
Yes.
We still did it.
Right. And our big event is going to stay in the spring Two reasons. Hurricane season, we're out of it, but
Yes.
also it gives us that October of Home Fire Month this year, then the 2 time change. So we're slowly getting kind of a year-round home fire preparedness
Very good.
messaging out there, which
Yes.
is great.
Because
to
we
keep
always
it in our forefront.
We
of our
always
mind.
stick in that you got to change your batteries when
Right.
you set the
Right.
clocks.
So
Yeah.
if we can get several times a year, we're getting people to think about this.
Right.
It's better for the community and all our families.
Sure is.
So.
I think I need new smoke alarms. I'm going to have to make a call.
Well, I know who can help you with that.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much for coming, Trish.
Thank you. I
we really
appreciate it.
appreciate it. We love our city, and we want to make sure that everybody in it is safe.
Thank you. We're
Thank you.
happy to help with that.
Thank you so much. Getasmokealarm.org. So that's easy to remember. Well, I really want to thank both of our guests tonight. I think they shared some wonderful information with all of us here in our city, and thank them so much for sharing with us. Certainly things for us to take advantage of, Spring Cleanup Week, and keeping our families safe from fire. I wanted to ask you to just save the date. This coming Saturday, March 30th, is the next Coffee with the Mayor. We'll meet at Happy Joe's at 9 a.m. on Lake Park Boulevard. Get you a cup of coffee, sit down, and we'll talk about things going on right here in our city. Our guests next week are Paula Lavasser with Muscatine County Cares, our local child abuse council, and Kelsey Stafford with our local City of Muscatine Parks and Rec. She's going to talk about the Easter egg hunt coming up, and you're going to want to hear all about that. Lastly, reminder, we have no city council meeting this Thursday. Just to remind everyone, our city council meetings here in Muscatine are held the first and third Thursday of each month at 7 o'clock. And the second Thursday of each month, we have an in-depth meeting where we dispense with the formalities of a regular city council meeting and have guest speakers to talk about specific topics a little more in depth. And then the fourth Thursday, or the fifth, as there is one, there is no meeting. So nothing this week, but next week the city council meeting certainly will have on the agenda Spring Cleanup Week. Thank you so much for joining us here in our city. We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Good night.
Our City with Mayor Diana Broderson replays on MPW Channel 9, Wednesday at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. and Thursday at 7 a.m. Of course, we're live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. on Facebook. Email us at ourcity@muscatineiowa.gov.